solidly to left. That ball is gone. Ronald Acuña leading off game 2 of the season with a solo.
This is the story of the complicated legacy of Ronald Acuña Jr. Rookie of the Year, controversy, All-Star, MVP, ACL tear, comeback, record breaker, another ACL tear. The Ronald Acuña Jr. story has more twists and turns than a roller coaster. And just like a roller coaster, it's left a lot of people feeling a bit queasy. What's next for baseball's most electrifying and polarizing young star? And before watching the video, consider commenting down below on what you think Ronald Acuña Jr.'s legacy is currently. I'd love to hear if he's too exuberant for baseball or if he's changing baseball in the right way. Let us know. Ronald Acuña Jr.'s story began in La Guaira, Venezuela, where baseball runs in the family. Born in 1997, he grew up swinging a bat before he could walk. His passion for the game was evident from the start, and it didn't take long for scouts to notice. In 2014, the Atlanta Braves signed Acuña as an international free agent, and he tore through the minor leagues, leaving teammates and opponents in awe. By 2018, he was ready for the big show. Acuña made his MLB debut on April 25th, and the baseball world was never the same. He ended up winning the National League Rookie of the Year award, but little did anyone know, this was just the beginning of a wild ride. Ronald Acuña Jr. burst onto the MLB scene at the age of 20, but not everyone was ready for this young superstar. While fans marveled at his incredible talent, some of baseball's old guard found themselves squinting at the bright lights of Acuña's flamboyant style. Listen, baseball has always had its unwritten rules, a set of traditions and expectations that players are supposed to follow. Don't admire your home runs too long. Don't show up the pitcher like you've been there before. But Acuña, he didn't just ignore these rules, he danced all over them with a smile on his face. Every time Acuña stepped up to the plate, it was like watching a one-man show. He'd wiggle his bat, flash that $1 million grin, and proceed to absolutely crush baseballs into orbit. And when he connected, that's when the real spectacle began. Acuña would stand there watching his handiwork soar over the fence before breaking into an elaborate home run trot that looked more like a victory lap. For some baseball purists, this was too much to handle. They saw Acuña's celebrations as disrespectful, a mockery of the game's storied traditions. But for many fans, especially the younger generations, Acuña's exuberance was a breath of fresh air in a sport often criticized for being too stuffy and old-fashioned, and sometimes slow. The tension between Acuña's style and baseball's unwritten rules came to a head in his rookie season in 2018 during a game against the Miami Marlins. Acuña had been on an absolute tear. He had 3 consecutive games with a leadoff homer and 5 straight overall with a dinger. The Marlins, apparently fed up with watching Acuña circle the bases, decided to take matters into their own hands. In the first inning, Marlins pitcher Jose Urena drilled Acuña with the very first pitch of the game, a 97-mile-per-hour fastball that caught him square in the elbow. The message was clear. Stop showing us up. The benches cleared, tempers flared, and suddenly, Acuña found himself at the center of a heated debate about player safety, sportsmanship, and the evolving culture of baseball. Braves manager Brian Snitker, furious at what he saw as a deliberate attempt to injure his young star, didn't mince words. Quote, "That's a shame," Snitker fumed. "This young man is just playing the game, doing what he loves to do. That's a damn shame." But not everyone saw it that way. Some former players and commentators argued that Acuña needed to tone down his act, that his celebrations were inviting this kind of retaliation. And this has followed Acuña throughout his career. Last year, Acuña hit a 424-foot bomb off of Phillies pitcher Zach Wheeler. And as he was rounding first base, you could see him flapping imaginary wings and gesturing that he had ice in his veins while passing third. Phillies manager Rob Thompson said, quote, "I like our guys to act like they've been there before." In the 2019 playoffs, Acuña found himself in hot water again when he admired a long fly ball that, well, quite didn't make it over the fence. So instead of a home run, Acuña ended up with a long single, and critics pounced on the moment as an example of his showboating backfiring. But here's the thing, for every critic who's tisk-tisked at Acuña's antics, there were dozens of fans who couldn't get enough. They loved his energy, his passion, the way he played the game with such obvious joy. In a sport that sometimes feels trapped in the past, Acuña represented the future, a future where players could be themselves, express their personalities, and have fun while still competing at the highest level. The MLB, recognizing the appeal of players like Acuña, even launched a campaign called Let the Kids Play.
No more talk. Let the kids play.
Aimed at encouraging player individuality and celebration. It was a clear sign that the tide was turning, that baseball was ready to embrace a new, more expressive era. Of course, Acuña wasn't about to change his style for anyone. When asked about the constant criticism and occasional retaliation from opposing pitchers, he simply shrugged it off. "They have to hit me," he said, "because they don't get me out." It was classic Acuña, confident, a little cocky, and utterly unapologetic. As the controversies piled up, so did Acuña's accomplishments on the field. He wasn't just a showman, he was a bona fide superstar, racking up all-star appearances and putting up eye-popping numbers. And with each bat flip, each elaborate celebration, each defiant grin in the face of criticism, Acuña was changing the very culture of baseball. Just as Ronald Acuña Jr. seemed unstoppable, fate had other plans. On July 10th, 2021, during a game against the Miami Marlins, Acuña attempted to make a spectacular catch on a fly ball. As he leapt, his right knee buckled and he crumpled to the ground. The diagnosis was devastating, a complete tear of his ACL. And in an instant, Acuña's MVP caliber season came to a screeching halt. At the time of the injury, Acuña was putting up monster numbers. He was hitting .283 with 24 home runs and 52 RBIs in just 82 games, a half a season. He was on pace for an incredible season, and the Braves were looking like serious contenders. But now, their superstar would be watching from the sidelines as the team made a magical run to the World Series. The physical pain of the injury was intense, but for Acuña, the emotional toll was even worse. As he began his long road to recovery, he found himself battling demons he never expected. Depression set in, and he struggled with feelings of abandonment and helplessness. It was a side of professional sports that fans rarely see. The lonely hours of rehab, the doubt, the fear that you might never be the same player again. Acuña, known for his infectious smile and boundless confidence, found himself in unfamiliar territory. "I was really suffering," he admitted, "and I needed to work my way out of it." For a player who had always made the game look so easy, this was a whole new challenge. At first, Acuña resisted the idea of therapy. Like many athletes, he had been taught to push through pain, to never show weakness, but as the mental struggle continued, he realized he needed help. "I didn't want to go at first," he said. "I never saw myself in that situation, so I kind of rebelled initially. But then it was like, I have to do this. Because if I don't do my part here, I'm never going to fully recover." As Acuña worked to rebuild his knee, he also worked to rebuild his mind. The process was grueling, but it revealed a side of him that fans had never seen before. A vulnerability, a resilience, a determination that went just beyond hitting home runs and stealing bases. Meanwhile, the Braves were making their magical World Series run. Acuña watched from afar, cheering on his teammates, but feeling the sting of not being able to contribute. It was a bittersweet moment when the Braves clinched the title, a dream come true for the franchise and its fans, but a reminder of what could have been for Ronald Acuña Jr. But if anyone thought this setback would dim Acuña's star, they were in for a surprise. After months of intense rehab and mental preparation, Acuña returned to the field in 2022. While it took some time to regain his form, by 2023, he was back with a vengeance. But we'll get to 2023 in a moment. Remember, this is a roller coaster ride. Prior to the 2022 season, longtime teammate Freddie Freeman for the Los Angeles Dodgers. One of the most surprising aspects of Acuña's career has been his complicated relationship with this former teammate, Sir Freddie Freeman. You'd think two of the brightest stars on the same team might be best buddies, right? Not so fast. In a candid interview, Acuña dropped a bombshell about his relationship with Freeman. When asked what he would miss about Freeman after he left the Braves, Acuña's response was short and not so sweet. Quote, "Me? Nothing. Pretty cold." Acuña went on to describe the relationship as having lots of clashes, especially during his rookie season. He felt pressured by veteran players, including Freeman, to conform to the clubhouse rules and toned down his exuberant style. It's that classic case that we've been talking about. Old school meets new school, and apparently they didn't exactly hit it off. Freeman, for his part, seemed surprised by Acuña's comments. He insisted that he loved Acuña and didn't view their relationship as having any friction. But he did emphasize the need to uphold organizational rules, which kind of proves Acuña's point, doesn't it? Quote, when you put on a Braves uniform, in that organization, there's organizational rules. You don't cover the A on your hat with your sunglasses. You don't wear earrings. You have your hair a certain length. You wear a uniform during BP. You don't have eye black coming down across your whole face, said Freeman. The clash of personalities highlights a bigger issue in baseball. The sport is changing, and players like Acuña are at the forefront of that change. His style of play, the bat flips, the elaborate celebrations, the pure joy he brings to the game has made him a fan favorite. But it's also ruffled those feathers of the old guard who believe they're playing the game in the right way. For the Braves organization, Acuña presents both an incredible opportunity and a unique challenge. On one hand, he's a marketing dream. He's electric and larger-than-life personality that makes him must-see TV. Kids want to be him, fans want to watch him, and his jerseys fly off the shelves. But on the other hand, the Braves have to balance Acuña's marketability with maintaining a certain level of professionalism that they deem up to their standards. They don't want to stifle his personality and risk losing what makes him so special. They also can't let things spiral into a circus, according to them. Despite the controversies and the occasional friction with teammates or other opponents or managers, Acuña's star continued to rise. And the 2023 season was a statement. Acuña put together one of the most impressive campaigns in Major League Baseball history. He led the league with a .337 batting average, slugged 41 bombs, drove in 106 runs, and most impressively maybe, stole an incredible 73 bases. It was the first 40-70 season in MLB history, a feat that seemed almost impossible in the modern game. His performance earned him the NL MVP award, a testament to his incredible talent and unbreakable spirit. For Acuña, it was proof that he could overcome anything, that his best days were still ahead of him. And as the 2024 season approached, expectations for Acuña were through the roof. Fans and analysts alike wondered what he could possibly do for an encore. 50-50? Could he hit 380? Possibilities seemed endless. But again, ups and downs. And baseball, like life, has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. As Acuña prepared for another spectacular season, nobody could have predicted the cruel twist of fate that was right around the corner. In May 2024, during a routine play, Acuña went down clutching his knee. The diagnosis was devastating. A second ACL tear, this time in his other leg. The timing couldn't have been worse. Acuña was at the absolute peak of his powers, fresh off an historic season and looking poised to dominate for the years to come. Now he was facing another long, grueling rehab process with no guarantee that he'd be able to return to his previous form. For Acuña, this second injury was more than just a physical setback. It was a cruel reminder of the fragility of even the most promising careers. Here was a player who had overcome so much: cultural barriers, criticisms of his playing style, a previous major injury in his other leg, only to be struck down again as he was reaching new heights. The baseball world held its collective breath. Would Acuña be able to come back from his second devastating injury? And even if he did, would he still be the same electrifying player who had captivated fans around the world? Ronald Acuña Jr.'s career has been a roller coaster of highs and lows. From Rookie of the Year to MVP, he's dazzled fans with incredible talent, but along the way he's faced criticism for his flashy style and run into some serious injury troubles. So what do we make of Acuña's legacy so far? Is he a transformative figure pushing baseball into a new, more expressive era? Or is he a cautionary tale? The truth is, Acuña's story is still being written. As he said himself, I have a lot of unfinished business with the Atlanta Braves. Only time will tell how the story ends. If you like this kind of content, consider watching this video right here. And let us know in the comments what you think Ronald Acuña Jr.'s legacy is going to be. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.